No stranger to drifting, no stranger to competition.
That guy stole my freaking ratchet wrench. I see that. That's mine.
He rejects your reality and inserted his own. This is a stimulator, right?
Pilot. Pilot. Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of the Climpy Point. My name is Captain Ben, and joining me as always, Mr. Tim Murphy and Mr. Paul Murphy.
I'm here.
They're here. All right, perfect.
Oh, yeah, you wonder why nobody watches.
Wait, what?
I'm sorry, nothing.
Come on, man, relax. We're just getting started. All right, let's get everyone situated and settled, and let's go ahead and welcome our special guest of the evening. You may know him for his rotary sounds, but recently you know him as a line judge for Klutch Kickers season 3.
What the hell are you doing? What? So somebody... The hell is that?
Oh, okay, yeah, it's just...
Oh, it's a rotary.
It's Jeremy Lowe. Just trying to get him,
Hyped up?
hyped up.
Yeah, he's in. Hey, Jeremy.
He looks very hyped.
Am I supposed to unmute now?
Yeah. Welcome aboard, sir. How are you?
Good. How are you?
We're appreciative of the high definition version of Jeremy Lowe.
Yeah.
Very appreciative. Like I said, we interviewed Dwayne Ramsey and Will Parsons and Pat, and they all look like we're looking through the bottom of a beer bottle.
Yeah.
Right? Like the glare and everything. So it's nice to be able to hey, I know that guy. Nice hair too.
This super high tech iPhone 11 on a tripod.
There you go.
You're not supposed to release your secrets.
Looks great.
Looks great. But it doesn't have like greasy paw prints all over it. So over the camera and stuff. It hasn't been dropped into a vat of engine oil either.
That does happen now.
Yeah.
So Jeremy Lowe, I want to go ahead and start off for those people that don't know your background and where you came from. You were a pro Formula Drift competitor, but prior to that, we knew you down here as one of the what do they call them, the Rotary Twins? Is that what you call it? You and Dan Chilton coming down here and with your rotary sounds. But for those people that don't know you, what form of racing did you start out in drifting, or were you drag racing? What got you, or what got you start in motorsports?
When I was a kid, my dad road raced, a lot of drag racing, and I didn't really do. I raced karts for a couple of years as a kid, when I was 8 years old. But I didn't really do anything up until I started drag racing shortly before I got into drifting. But my dad's been in racing, since the 70s. A lot of drag racing, a lot of rotary stuff. So he's been building rotaries since the 70s. Drag racing all through the 80s and 90s and early 2000s. So we actually ran an RX-7 in the NHRA Sport Compact Series and the Nopi Drag Race Series for a number of years before I got into drifting. And I actually started driving the car, and then my dad ended up crashing the car at just a test night at Bradenton. So that kind of wrote off the drag racing. So then it was well, what am I going to do? And I had my black FC turbo, and I don't know, kind of got into drifting and went and tried it out at Orlando Speed World, and it was on from then.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow.
So who did anybody did you just start going to events by yourself, or did you have friends that were already doing it?
so Brett Collins is one of my best friends that I've known since I was a kid, and he had an SC300, and he actually is like who got me to actually like try to drift my car, because he was doing it and I was like, oh, that's sick, but like if he can do it, I can do that too. So we started messing around in parking lots, and I think I went to my first event with him and Dan Chilton. Like Brett and I got Dan to he had a Honda Accord, so we got him to get a rear wheel drive car. And like the three of us were like hitting up every event from then on out.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
So how long ago did you start drifting?
That was like 2006, 2007, somewhere in there.
Wow, that's a while ago.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Man. Okay. So when you first started drifting, what was it about drifting that you fell in love with it?
I mean, I always liked, doing burnouts, sliding around corners. Like from when I had a car, even before that, like go-karts, like sliding them on dirt, like like doing donuts when you're 16 in a parking lot, like that's the coolest thing ever. Like watching Smokey and the Bandit or something like that.
Yeah.
That was the coolest part, sliding around corners. So, yeah, doing that like in real life was amazing.
Yeah. I think one of my favorite memories of you drifting, and I didn't really notice you at first, was when everybody was looking at the OSW oval and we're like, who is that guy in the freaking Miata? He's like killing it. And it's like bone stock Miata. And it came to be a standard. I think I heard quite a few times where guys were complaining at Klutch Kickers, not to get ahead of everything.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't have enough power to get on the bank. And people were like, well, Jeremy Lowe, he would ride the bank in like stock Miata. So it's really not an excuse. But that's probably one of my like memories. I was like, oh my gosh, okay, he's really killing it. How is that Oh, you got something, Ben?
Well, yeah. I just want to kind of highlight one of the first interactions that we all had with Jeremy, and that was actually at the Homestead Miami Speedway.
That's right.
Was that the first time?
That is actually that. Yeah. Go ahead.
What?
Yeah. So
I don't remember that.
So Tim organized.
It's like
back when Drift Sessions was mainly consisted of you,
Was an
gentlemen,
event
where you're
organizer,
organizing events, and you guys partnered up with Farah.
you too.
Well, I was there, but not. But whatever. Besides the point, you partnered up with Farah, and there was a drift demonstration. We got a couple of people huddled up together, and one of those individuals was Mr. Jeremy Lowe himself. And not only one of the things that stood out was the fact that it was one of the few rotaries, well, the only rotary, I guess you could say, but that particular event that happened in December of 2007, because I actually took a look back at some of the old footage. Jeremy, care to elaborate on why the tires that you had on, I don't know if you recall that event,
I remember
would
this.
throw out red smoke.
Well, I just remember all the radio, like, get him off the track, get him off the track. Do you remember that? You remember that, Jeremy?
No, well, I don't remember the controversy, but like the red smoke tires came from Injuku having like this crazy stockpile of those old Kumos. And I don't know, I saw on a forum or something that like, oh, they're getting rid of them. Like you just go to Injuku and you can buy brand new tires for $50 a piece. So Dan and I rode up there and bought like a truckload of them.
Yeah. So you were in the car, but I don't know if, I don't remember how that went down, but
Yeah, but Fair was.
they were livid. I mean, it didn't put red marks on the road, but they were livid because you come around the corner and it was the coolest thing. Like I really think someone should bring those back. I don't know if they still make those or not, but they're. I'm a fan. I don't know.
Well,
I'm a dork, but they're fun.
It was funny, like those tires. By the time we got them, they were like so old and hard, and like they were terrible to drive on. But we had a bunch of them that we needed to get rid of. So, and they were cheap. So whatever, I was using them.
Yeah, I still have I have that picture. I have one of those pictures on my Facebook still, and your cars come around, and there's just this red smoke trail coming behind you. It was a pretty cool picture.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
So yeah, that is a good memory there, Ben.
That is an
Absolutely.
interesting memory.
I was recently talking about that event because somebody's helmet came off.
Oh,
Pablo's.
Yeah,
Pablo's helmet flew.
Valero.
Do you know the story behind that or no?
Was
you know
there
the story?
Well, the battery flipping over and like almost catching on fire. Yeah,
yeah. The Pablo thing, I kind of have to take blame for that a little bit because Pablo was going to go back to the pits. I was running the line, and he looks back at me. He's like, can I do? I got to go back to the pit. Can I do a run? And I only looked at one side. I didn't look at both tires. Right? I looked at one side. I was like, oh, you got one good lap. I was like, go out there, and. So he was in such a rush to get that last lap, and he didn't buckle his helmet on, and of course he crashed. So I was like, "Oh man, I wonder if that was my fault." But anyhow, and then his helmet flew out the passenger window. So yeah, that was those were the good old days, right?
But I was super psyched to drive that Homestead event because before I got into drifting, I came and watched the D1
at Homestead
thing there in like 05. Dan and I drove down and watched that.
Yeah. Not only that is the treatment we got at Homestead being parked in the garages and stuff. It was like so spoiled.
Yeah. Compared to County Line and
County Line and OSW and like, parking and pitting in the grass and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was definitely a step up. So what I was getting into before is, when you first started drifting, do you like plan to go pro from the start, or was it something that as you started getting better and progress, you saw, hey, you know what, maybe I'll go pro?
I mean, like when I started, I didn't even know that there was really like, other than D1 in Japan, I didn't think that like, oh, I could be like a pro drifter. But like pretty quickly on, they started having like kind of feeder series and events. So like within a year of drifting, I had gotten a Nopi pro drift license and started driving those, which I had absolutely no business doing at the time, but I tried.
No, you did pretty well. And
then you like I would go out and like qualify first and then like drop a tire and lose in top 16 or something like that, like first round.
Yeah. How was it going to competing? Was it like a nerve-wracking thing, or were you pushing yourself too hard during those times? I mean, looking back, do you remember like
looking back on that is I didn't have enough tandem experience because that wasn't really much. I mean, you guys remember that wasn't really much of a thing at those events back then. Yeah. There wasn't a lot of caged cars. There wasn't a lot of like drivers to practice with. Yeah. So it was really just lack of experience. Like I could put a lead run together like fine, but following was a different story.
Yeah. And then people didn't, like you said, not only you didn't really have the places to practice tandem, but tandem competition back then is nowhere near what it is now.
No. Like you're 3 cars back and you're killing it. Like
they're close.
Of each other. Yeah. So you made the transition into pro. How was it going pro?
Like I wouldn't say I was like pro until Formula D, and like even then it was, I mean, that was just a very stressful part of my life.
What did you find most difficult? Was it the competition, the traveling, or trying to, because you have to try to, now you have to develop a program, right, to find sponsors?
Yeah. So yeah, getting a budget together was like crazy. Like I didn't have any money. I was also going to school at the same time. I was not, I needed to have somebody taking care of like marketing and stuff like that for me. And I was just trying to do everything myself. I was running, like doing most of the work on my car. It was like me and my dad. And, I mean, looking back on it, I needed a more prepared car and I needed more seat time, really. Yeah. And when you're trying to put a budget together to drive Formula D, you kind of sacrifice seat time and sacrifice upgrades to the car, which really it's like doing a disservice to yourself as a driver. So yeah, you can make it to these events, but you're not performing like you should be. So that's kind of like my hindsight kind of regret.
Yeah. If you look back at just like your time in Formula Drift, and I ask a lot of the guys this, that pretty much every guy that we get on the show, what would you say was like your high moment? Like looking back, say, oh, this day was like the best day I had. It was just everything was on point or whatever it was. But then what was like the lowest moment? Like, oh, this day I just wanted to quit, kind of thing. I mean, give me a contrast of the best moment of Formula Drift and the worst, on or off the track.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I had like a best moment. Like, I was having a good day in Seattle when I beat JTP in 32, and then immediately proceeded to crash into the wall in top 16. So like, yeah, I mean, I would say most events I just like wanted to like roll my car into a lake and forget about it.
Oh, God. Oh, that's not what I was trying to get at.
That got dark.
That got really dark really quick.
Just roll my car to the lake.
I mean, I do remember, half of your car hanging over the wall down in Hollandale at the Gulfstream Park event. What was that, D1?
D1.
Yeah, that was like a crazy thing where like yeah, I leave the start line, everything's good, and I like shift into like second or third gear, and all of a sudden it's pouring rain.
Yeah.
And I initiate, and I'm like, well, it's too late now. And I'm just like hanging on for the ride.
Yeah.
Jeremy, there's a story about you that I want sort of clarification on, a confirmation. There was, I believe, an event that took place at Palm Beach International Raceway, and I think it was a competition. I don't know what it was, but there is a story that you blew the engine on the rotary, and being the individual that you are, that you persevered through so many obstacles, you decided to drive back to your shop back home, which is like a 4-hour drive, roughly, give or take, then rebuild the engine and have it ready in the car in time to drive back to compete the next day for the event. Is that true or not?
I honestly don't know.
He was either too tired to remember or did
something. Something
But-
that somebody tried to blank out his mind.
But I will do one better, and that happened in Texas. And instead of driving home, like my dad and I knew a guy that was local to Texas that had a shop, and we went to his shop and rebuilt the engine there.
Maybe the story
Overnight,
got mixed.
and then I drove the next day. I can't remember honestly if that happened at Palm Beach, because
It's a rotary.
Yeah, I didn't like really hurt many engines other than that one, I think, in Texas, but I could be wrong for sure.
So if you had to rebuild a motor, it'd be rotary over a 1J, right? I mean, you got the rotaries down pretty packed.
Yeah, I mean they're super simple. There's not a lot of parts, so there's no machine work. It's just, take it apart, replace some parts, and throw it back together.
Yeah, I still get tempted. I was showing them Facebook Marketplace, NFC. I'm trying to sell my Z so I could put money into this thing, but then I want to have enough money left over to get like an old E30, because that's just what I love. I miss my old E30. But then I was looking at rotary. I was like, I've always wanted one, but I can't. I just don't have big enough space. I don't have enough space for all these cars.
What are you talking about? You've always wanted one. You've had one. You had an RX-8.
I know. Oh yeah, I did have an RX-8, but I want to always like have one to like just that weekend car to just kind of have nice. And I want a lot of cars. Okay, so I want an FC. I want. But anyways, that's besides the point. Okay, so
What I wanted. So
Okay.
that FC has been your original FC. That black one has been the original car that you started out with.
It is the third iteration of.
Oh, okay. That's what I.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm like, wow, that thing survived that long. Okay.
No, I've totaled 2 black FCs,
Okay.
and I've wrecked the current one pretty good a couple times, but I like built the the cage and like chassis and stuff good enough that it can take a hit.
Straighten it back out.
Okay, well, that's good.
That's cool. I was just interested in that. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay, so that's your kind of dismal like highlight for Formula Drift, kind of depressing. But
I had
okay, so let's fast forward.
I had a pretty like mediocre. Well, and also I was thinking about it today. Like when I was thinking about doing the show, like I really only did one full season in Pro FD, and then I did a few rounds like the following year, and then I did one full season in Pro 2, and like Pro 2 was where it was at for me. Like I'm glad I did that, and if I would have kept going, I would have kept doing that. Now Pro Spec, that seems more of like fitting for my car and my program.
Right, right. Yeah, well, I mean, are you telling us that you might get back into it?
No.
No.
I thought you'd leave me in suspense. You're just waiting for it to hear what I was saying. Okay, so that aside, we don't really hear about you for a while. Like you're like this lost legend. You and Dan kind of in the distance, like, oh, whatever happened to Jeremy Lowe, because we're down south, so we don't really see you guys too much up there. And then here you go. We find out Jeremy Lowe is going to be the third judge of Klutch Kickers. So how did that transpire?
I mean, Pat hit me up about it, and I kind of thought about it and was like, drifting something that I do know a lot about, and I could make a positive contribution to this. So I was like, oh, why not? And like, it'll kind of get me back in like the drifting world, and I could kind of like put this knowledge that I have, to some sort of good use if I'm not driving at the moment.
Right. So how long before you showed up at Klutch Kickers as a judge had you been to a drift event?
I'd been to like a few at Orlando Speed World, like just going with friends or whatever. So just like a few, I'd been out to the Freedom Factory for like the drift night things a couple times.
Okay, so you weren't completely out of it.
No.
Okay. What about driving wise? When's the last time you slid a car?
So the last time I drifted a car was I drifted my buddy Brent's IS 300. I think that was the last time at OSW. Like, I don't know. It's been a while. 6 months ago, a year ago. And before that, I drove the Z that Brandon McDowell drives. I drove that at Hyperfest and something in Georgia a few years ago.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know about that.
Ben, you had something?
Yeah. Everyone talks about the RX-7 and when is that going to come out of retirement? But I think perhaps arguably your other claim to fame was the Miata and what you were capable of with that. So I'm curious, when is that going to come out of retirement?
Well, yeah, unfortunately, I recently sold the Miata.
Really?
Yeah, it's been like a hotel for stray cats in the backyard of the shop for like 5 years now. But yeah, the Miata was super fun, and I was bringing that out to events when I didn't want to buy tires or race fuel or whatever for the RX-7. And then Ben Julian had to flip his Miata at the
Freedom Factory, basically.
Freedom Factory. And then all the tracks were like no convertibles without a roll bar, and I was too lazy to put a roll bar in it, so it just kind of got parked.
Well, that sucks. All right, so now Pat reaches out to you. You want to use that knowledge, like you said before, net experience, and put it to good use and help Klutch Kickers. How was it working with Klutch Kickers for your first time, and had you been to a Klutch Kickers event before you judged?
I had not been to an event. I had watched, the live streams of the events, but no, everything's been it's been really good. And another thing about this deciding to judge thing, I was like, well, it's at Freedom Factory, which was my local track for forever. Like, it's like, oh, this is a track that I've done more laps on than like anyone in the series other than maybe Cletus, so I have the experience there too.
Right. So then jumping, had you ever judged events before this?
Like just local competitions and some pro-am stuff, like way back, like when I was in FD, but not since then.
So what has been your thought with watching Klutch, going from watching Klutch Kickers on the live stream to now taking a part? How's that experience been?
Watching it on the live stream is a lot more relaxing.
Yeah, I
lot
could
of stress
see that.
judging.
But at least you're lucky enough to be in air conditioning. The poor last guys were on like
Yeah,
on
freaking scaffolds right facing the mud turn.
Yeah.
So,
But no,
Yeah.
judging it's super tough. You got to be really focused, and all these guys are really competitive and taking it really seriously. And it's definitely stressful for sure up there.
And so how does it feel going from a driver sitting in a driver's meeting to now being the judge, having to answer those questions? Do you think that the drivers are, how can I say this? So you were a driver sitting in driver sitting in drivers meetings. Now you're a judge sitting in drivers meetings. How is that
transition?
Yeah. I'm stumbling over my words. Sorry.
All right.
Now, I think the drivers meetings at Klutch Kickers have been pretty easy. Like, you would be surprised at some of the questions you would hear in like a Formula D drivers meeting. So no, they've been pretty straightforward and pretty laid back, I think.
Yeah, it seems almost like a grassroots drivers meeting. I don't see too many questions. Actually, a lot of times I think that the drivers aren't utilizing you guys during that time as well, as I think they just want to get out there and drive. And it does have a very rushed feel to it a lot of times as well.
Well, we do push. It does push pretty fast. So,
And like this last round, I think the track layout was one of the more simpler ones that was pretty like self-explanatory. Like the other ones kind of had something weird at the end where we would kind of have to explain, how to drive through it. But this one was kind of like hit the marks and, you get a good line score. So I thought this one was a little like easier than the past couple.
And have you ever worked with or hung out with Dwayne and Will prior to this?
I had met Dwayne previously in Texas, probably at FD or something. I've known Will for a while though, driving. I think he drove Nopi Drift when I did. We both drove XDC for a couple of years. So
XDC.
We definitely like competed against one another, at least a couple times.
All right. So now you get the driver's meet and now you start doing the judge. And are you the same? You don't judge the same thing each round, right? Do you guys alternate categories?
No, for qualifying, we all do the same job every time. So I've just been the line judge, which is nice because I feel like it's one of the least subjective ones. Kind of you hit your marks on the track, I can give you a good score.
Okay.
Do you want to clarify on what led to the track change, the layout change, this past round?
Oh, it was too long. People weren't, they couldn't make tires last 2 runs. So we let it go for a while in practice, and the people that were doing like full bore runs, they just didn't have enough tire to safely make that second lap all the way around.
Okay.
Interesting.
Looking back at the this season up to round 3, what would you say, if you could remember, if was your most exciting battle to judge? Might be a hard one to kind of look. There are some pretty good battles. So
Yeah, no, there's been some really good battles. I don't know what really right now. What sticks out to me is like some of the weird stuff that happened at this last one.
yeah,
A lot of the weird things.
yeah. There are some weird things that happen.
Yeah, like the Alec and Josiah thing. I'm sure we'll go over that, but that was like one of the weirdest situations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I thought the Chelsea one from last round was pretty good.
the Chelsea versus Matt Shulman.
Anytime that Chelsea went out there was pretty exciting.
Yeah. Any run that Chelsea drives, especially if he's following, is insane.
Yeah. He's definitely exciting to watch. I mean, he took home the first place last round of Formula Drift Monroe.
Yeah.
So he's definitely seeing success, and it's great to see him. It's great to see that he comes out and he's not bringing his pro car, right? He's bringing his Fox body, and he's out there doing battle and just challenging himself. But not only that, is I think a lot of, especially the younger drivers that come to Klutch Kickers, when he pulls up, it brings an element of excitement for those drivers that watch him compete and have been watching him for a long time, and now may have the opportunity to tandem with him, whether it be in practice or competition.
Exactly. So
it's pretty cool. Even Adam LZ, all these drivers, they bring a lot to it, and maybe I get your opinion on this. One comment I see quite often, and you'll see it in a live stream, is like, oh, you got a pro car against these grassroots cars, and this isn't fair. What's your take on that?
It's a pro competition, and it's for a lot of money. Like, run what you brung, but if you want to win, you got to bring enough to win. I think Chelsea kind of like shines some light of hope on that with like, oh, you bring a Fox body with, it's not a crazy FD car, and he could totally win an event in that thing.
Yeah. It really does come down to driver skill.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, it's not all driver skill, but yeah, you got to have a balance. You got to either be a really good driver or, have a really good car and be a good driver. I don't know.
Yeah. It's everybody that I ask when I talk to drivers, they all love it. Usually it's the people watching, oh, this isn't fair. The guy's got a pro car. He's 1,000 horsepower. It's not fair, blah, blah. But every driver I ever talked to, that's one of the reasons why they love Klutch Kickers so much, is because they have the opportunity.
Well, yeah, where else are you going to get to compete with someone in a Formula D car as a driver?
Right, right.
And if you're not driving Formula D, so yeah. I mean, I always looked at it like, because we always got that in Pro-Am and stuff like that, people complaining, and it's like, dude, if you're trying to go pro, you're going to have to beat people that are way better than this guy that's in the competition. So
exactly.
Yeah,
it's always been my same argument. I say, I forgot here for a second.
You're right there, Paul?
Yeah, no, I forgot.
All right. Well, while you remember, Ben, do you want to start getting into the battles, or?
Yeah, I can go ahead and.
You've been kind of quiet. You've been kind of quiet over there. So.
Oh, sorry. It's just managing all.
Oh, you're managing stuff. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So my apologies. Usually I'm interjecting more often, but unfortunately, I just want to make sure, because there's some extra element over here that I've included, and so I just want to make sure it doesn't all come falling apart. So,
okay. All right.
I mean, I know Paul will be on me if something were to happen. He'd be like, "You see, I told you. I knew you
Don't
couldn't
try
get it to
new
work."
things.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so let's get things going and set it up with the first battle. It's going to be between Jonathan Aaron against Matt Shulman. So, Tim, do you remember exactly what happened with that battle while I clear this up?
No, I really don't remember too much of that battle. That wasn't one of the ones that I thought was all too controversial.
Matt Shulman versus who?
Jonathan Aaron.
Jonathan Aaron.
So Jonathan Aaron was the #1 qualifier. Matt Shulman, he's finally getting his car to be able to put up with the abuse he's putting it through.
But then he broke it.
Well, he broke some suspension on.
Yeah, so I don't know how much,
But I'm saying engine-wise, like his car caught on fire one round. He's blown, I think, 2 engines since then. But now it was like one of the things, like good. Matt Shulman's car is working. Last round, he did really well.
Mhm.
He made it into the top 8. He got rained out. We didn't see how far he was going to go.
Yeah.
And Jonathan Aaron, #1 qualifier, and trying to move up in points. Let me just, I got the points here just so we can go over the standings really quick before you start, just so everybody kind of gets an idea exactly. I mean, Adam LZ's, he's got a decent lead, but Adam LZ is at top with 288 points. Dirk Stratton, 241, tied with Jonathan Aaron with 241. Then you have Alec Hunnadale, 4th place at 216, and Taylor Ray's 190. So you guys could check those on the point standings on the Klutch Kickers $100,000 drift page. But to set up this one that we're going to watch, this is Matt Shulman going against the #1 qualifier, Jonathan Aaron.
Yes, sir. And Jeremy, feel free to narrate as you watch this, so that way we can sort of get a sense as to what's going on. So with that said, we got this going, and
Did he have? And what about his alignment? He had to replace some suspension parts, so was he able to make the corrections to that chassis? Both cars flicking in. He definitely seems confident. Right there.
Yeah, so Shulman, it's kind of a decent gap there. Super choppy.
It is super choppy, Ben.
Yeah.
It's 2 frames per second.
well, for you guys, not for the audience.
Oh, it's not for the audience, really?
The audience are getting So if you want to
Oh, well, yeah, it looks great here. Just watch it on your phone.
Right, so Shulman was a little lower on the bank than Aaron was on his lead, and Aaron was actually higher, I think, in the chase position. The dirt drops there, and then kind of lets it gap for a second there, and then comes back. So, and then Shulman hit the finish line cone as well. So I think we looked at that battle, and it was kind of sloppy on both ends. Like, I couldn't really tell in that choppy video, but I think that was the one where Naren like tagged the wall on his follow. So we were like, it's really close. I kind of felt like equal mistakes on both of their parts. So it was run it again and clean it up.
Yeah, I think you're right, because just rewinding it a bit to the start, and you can kind of see,
Darren taps the wall just for a
In the lead
second
position.
there.
Yeah.
No, in the follow.
chase
I mean, yeah, chase position. I'm sorry.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but just to bring a little bit of light, like I said, Matt Shulman, he posted in the comment, he did break a rear knuckle right before this, and had to convert both sides to PBM drop knuckles with no alignment.
Oh,
So I mean,
okay.
he was kind of at a deficit there.
Yeah.
Just to try to drive like that. So
And this is a one more time battle once they got back, and
on this one, it was like Shulman super shallow, and Naren was on the wall, and Naren just did basically a first place qualifying run again. And Shulman's, keeping up, but trying to, sacrifice some angle and stuff. And Shulman's been killing it. Like, I'm for sure psyched on him. I like his car. And yeah, like, he almost straightened right there. So,
Yeah, you can see a big difference from these runs and his qualifying runs for sure.
Yeah.
From Shulman.
So that makes sense with the suspension issue. But yeah, it was super close on the first battle, and then on this one, it was a pretty easy decision, I think, to go with Naren.
All right, so what's the next battle you have set up? So now, of course, everybody didn't watch. Naren ended up taking the win over Matt Shulman. Matt Shulman, unfortunately, like you said, he damaged his car during that parade lap. Didn't he get like a parade lap?
yeah, he got a buy run.
He got a buy run, and he broke the knuckle, rear knuckle at the very end
that
of
was
it.
at the parade.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was at the parade lap. I forgot about that.
Yeah, or parade lap, buy run, whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
Tomato.
We're going to go ahead and move on over to the next battle, which consists of Ben Hobson going up against Taylor Ray.
Yeah, if we could start from the beginning.
You know
Actually, and then Jeremy, I know it's kind of choppy, so just kind of watch it if you want, and then just comment at the end.
Okay.
If it makes it easier for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
What are you doing?
Pass that over, and then.
Oh, you're passing stuff?
You know what's funny? Every round, I see like a total different driver, a total different car that I feel like is the fastest car.
Out of that first outer zone, both cars doing a great job transitioning. Ben doing awesome, diving in for the attack. Almost some collision there, but holding it together. Taylor Ray not affected whatsoever, still running an excellent line. Ben Hobson, you just got it, he's done it in the past, so here he is, side by side, as they make their way down the straight. Ben Hobson, Taylor Ray throwing in for the second half of this battle. Look at Ben Hobson, high on the wall. Taylor Ray right there with them, both cars transitioning. A slow transition there for Taylor Ray. Ben Hobson taking out those outer zone markers.
This is the one more time.
Yeah, this is the first one.
Both on point. Ben
Right.
Hobson, what a lead run. Taylor
this is
Ray
the one more
right there
time.
with them, taking out that last inside clip. That's right. All right, here we go. Taylor Ray out front.
One more time
Ben
battle.
Hobson
yeah.
Just throwing all
right
out
there
there.
with them.
Yeah.
He
Yeah,
wants
you're
to
making it
clip
confusing there, Ben.
Taylor Ray is not
What are you
gonna give it
talking
to him easy. Both drivers in tap. Look at Ben Hobson right there with Taylor Ray as they make their way through that first outside zone. Both guys making it through that touch and go. A little slow to transition.
You can't see it in the chop.
Yeah, you can't see that one section. That was like
surging forward, trying to apply that pressure to Taylor Ray and that little Miata as both cars
kind of the bad part of the
That
run.
roll start has been in the past, and it's done a lot of good in the past. But here we go, both drivers down the straight. Taylor Ray not too far behind. Both cars flicking it into the initiation around that first outside zone. Ben Hobson, but Taylor Ray right there with him, angle for angle, speed for speed, working their way through that touch and go. Now both cars, Ben Hobson pulling out front. Wow, Taylor Ray really cutting the inside portion of that track in order to
Yeah, with this replay, Ben, it's kind of hard to tell where Ben made or not. Yeah, Ben Hobson made the mistake.
Well, luckily, we got rewind, so
No, you can't even see it from that view.
Yeah,
it's
it's
too
like where the camera like switched angles. But I mean, I can talk about what happened.
I guess the first question is, how did it go one more time? I guess.
I think the one more time is pretty easy to explain.
I mean, it was the first set was super close. I mean, from that video, I don't have notes with me. I can't like say for certain like, oh, it was this point or that point or whatever. But it was close enough that it got it one more time from the three of us, and because they both for sure killed it. Ben was driving really good, super aggressive. Definitely psyched on his driving. So hopefully he keeps coming to these and driving like that. But in the one more time, on his follow coming off the bank at the touch and go, he kind of got in like a bad situation and then straightened and like just plowed both touch and go. So it was like straight plus two tires off track on the inside and just like, drilled the both cones with the center of his car. Other than that, it was good. And then Taylor on his follow dropped a tire, maybe two tires on outer three and was sloppy from that point on. So it was like both follows were kind of a mess, maybe technically zeros. So like lead for lead, Taylor had the better lead than Ben. So that's why we went with Taylor.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I think I heard that. I think you guys mentioned that in the booth that because even at first, like when Taylor got the call, he looked at the camera, was like, okay, and it just created this.
Yeah, it didn't
it didn't help, right?
Yeah.
Like him, kind of like, oh, I got the win. How did I win? And then drove away.
Yeah, I know. Like some of these guys don't have spotters or whatever talking to them, so they don't they screw up and they don't know that the other guy screwed up too, and it's like, hold tight, maybe you won. So yeah, I get that. And like in that situation with Taylor, on that turn, we had told the guys in the drivers meetings that, you know, if we can't see like 100% that you drop 2 tires, we're not going to say, you know, that we're not going to assume that. So like if you drop 1 tire and the other one's still smoking and we can't see it in any of our camera angles, you know, we're giving you the benefit of the doubt. I mean, I'm not saying that that's what won that battle, because honestly it was like a lead for lead, and Taylor did a straight up like solid lead run, and I can't remember if Ben like hit 1 clip or something stupid like that, which gave Taylor the advantage. But super good battle, exciting drivers.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that we mentioned on the live stream, is that it's not even like they were bad runs, right? It's just like sometimes it gets down to the point where you got to just nitpick, because we can't just do 1 more times all day.
Yeah.
Exactly. And the other thing too, it's right now to the point where that grass or certain sections of the track are like so like dug up that now it's getting difficult to really get a better sense as to what's the edge of it.
Right.
Because before, sure, once you get around the edge, it's like you see this grass getting shot up into the air. But now, like from certain angles, if you kind of like zero in on it, you could see that it's right at the edge, but there's no dirt or anything there. And the drivers are kind of like driving through it, but there's nothing flying up. So you can't really sort of gauge the dirt anymore, the grass, as a reference to how, you know, let the judges know, like, hey, or let everybody know that this person dropped a tire.
Right. No, absolutely. So what was the next battle you have up?
Yes. The next battle, I think, was the one that is part of the Unsolved Mysteries episode.
Unsolved Mysteries, yes.
X-Files.
Yeah. And let me just get that going.
If you had another phone, you could probably go on to and watch it on your phone, but because it's clear when you're watching the show.
Well, I just want to say I was really surprised that poll you guys put up. When I clicked on it, I was like, those results were really surprising to me. in a good way.
Yes.
That was Ben's idea.
I mean, seriously, like I really did think that. I mean, I had my opinion about it, and I didn't think it was clear.
I got a little bit of. We'll talk about it. A little bit of new information that I heard after the event that.
Oh, okay.
Put me at ease.
Oh, okay. All right. Let me just work this up. Tim, do you want to sort of set it up while I kind of
get it ready? Okay. So Alec Honadale and
Josiah.
Yeah, sorry, Josiah Felice are going at it, and I really feel bad for the judges a lot of times, right? Because they get a grunt a lot of the drivers' complaints and stuff. But it was just one of those situations that this slow motion footage that actually the technical crew did a good job of actually zooming in, even though it's pixelated, trying to figure out exactly what happened.
Should have heard them when I was telling them to do that. They're like,
"Oh, really?
We can't just do things on the fly. Here, give us some time."
But like, so this all centers around this one incident, which took place in the third outer zone, where Alec was chasing Josiah Felice. And this was basically going to make or break the call. This was going to decide the winner.
Right. So I'm ready to cue that up, and let's check this out.
Not giving much space in the chase position. Josiah doing a great job riding that wall, but Alec surging in for the attack, door to door, almost putting his tire into the door of Josiah as both cars make their way into that third hour. So look at, oh no! There's something popped off. There was some collision. We need to get some track workers out there, see what's going on. I saw something around flying down the track, and it looks like is that Josiah's? Yeah, Josiah's tire is off the car.
Jeremy, just right quick as this is playing over, what was your first initial impression as to what happened?
Well, let's take a look, Ben.
Honestly, my first thought was like, we need to find out if it debeated like what came first, the D beat or the crash?
Chicken or the egg?
Yeah. And honestly, like just from watching this, you would be like, oh, he D-beated an outer two and then transitioned and didn't have the grip, and Alec crashed into him. And that would be like the gut reaction. And then we watched over and over and over again of a zoomed in slow-mo all the way up until it happened, and you can clearly see like solid sidewall of the tire, like not even squatted down, like the tire was there the whole time.
Do you have that the
Yeah,
cut? Oh yeah,
eventually,
okay, yeah,
eventually gets to it.
yeah, because you guys did watch this over and over and over again, because you knew one way or another, if you didn't make the right call, you know you'd have to review it again, because if you made the wrong call, somebody's gonna protest it and try to challenge it. So it's like you might as well take the time and do what you can to try to make it, make the right call.
Yeah, and this is like, it was like the craziest thing, because you see a tire there, and then they transition, and then Alec blocks the view with the front of his car, and then the next thing you see is the tires off, and you're like,
That's quick. It really popped off fast.
Yeah, and I mean, from my perspective, like when I was up there in the booth, like I was standing firm with, there's no way you can prove that he was already D-beated. Like that's just impossible to prove. So I have to go with the contact caused it. So that's the way I want
that tire came off fast though. Like even if it's a split second hit, I'm just like, man, it came off like he touched it and popped right off. I think Will was saying, he goes, I have a hard time believing that it actually caused that. I think he did at first.
Yeah.
I think some of the other guys did, and I did as well, but I'm like, I just couldn't prove. I didn't see the proof otherwise. So like I had to go that way. That was my gut decision. Mm-hmm. But then, so like during all this, it was crazy enough that I'm like radioing Pat, like, go find the tire and see if there's a mark from the bash bar on it. And like he goes out on track and like finds the tire, and he's like, the tire looks perfect. And we're all like,
yeah,
like it was already a stressful day, and then this is like throwing a wrench into the gears, and yeah, somebody's like running up with like a camera, like, you gotta look at this, and I'm like, I don't know if I should look at this.
Yeah, you
like,
can't really.
Like I can't, and like he showed it to me, and it was the exact same angle of this, and I was like, oh, it's just a high def version of that exact shot right there. Mm-hmm. I'm like, so it doesn't give me any new information. But yeah, and then afterwards, like we're at dinner that night, and somebody's like, oh yeah, like Josiah's wheel after that, like the lip of the rim was like shredded off. So I'm like, oh, like if a metal bash bar gets into that rim that's going 100 miles an hour, it's gonna shred that lip off real quick, and that tire just like slid right off. So I was like, oh, that makes sense as to why the tire popped off so quick, because it went from being clearly beaded on to rolling around the outside of the track in like half a second.
So the wheel just got lathed down by the bash bar.
Yeah, he should have ran a bumper. If he didn't run a bumper, it probably wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
Let me just go ahead and just pull up the results of the poll.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, because I didn't even know. I didn't even know they were doing a poll. Like, I'm busy working on the phone, and I'm like, "What poll? What poll are you talking about?" I have no idea what's going on.
So one of the things we did on the Drift Sessions Instagram, we put up a poll asking people what happened here. And so options were tire debeat on its own and tire debeat from contact. And 81% voted tire debeat from contact. And surprisingly, 19% voted for the other option, tire debeat it on its own. So not 100% clear for everybody.
But one of the drivers voted contact as well.
Well, then let's remain anonymous.
I did.
Okay.
Well, you
What
could
are you
look up.
talking-
You could.
Yeah,
it
no,
was on there, wasn't there? I did.
And one of the other drivers voted that it debeated on its own, I bet.
Who knows which is which? I don't know.
Wait, what did you guys think?
I think, okay, I'll be honest. I think it debeated because I saw the car hop twice and not normal.
But where the
like it
hop
normally
was is the transition from concrete to asphalt, which is kind of a jump depending on where you are on the track. So
Yeah,
that was the hop from my point of view. But go on.
it was just the way it hopped. It looked like it pulled off before. So I was with it debeated before, and then he pulled it off the rest of the way. Now, I didn't see any rim. But then again, he also was doing a burnout on the rim the entire
that's
way
true.
he was driving off. So I don't know.
Yeah. Well, so my conclusion was you had to go with what you saw, and I figured it had to be the bash bar because the timing was just too perfect.
Yeah.
Right? To have a tire debeat at that exact
He
point.
was just pointing the gun at the guy.
Yeah,
It just
what
didn't
I'm
have to
saying.
kill
It's
him.
like, I don't know. It was just too perfect of a situation that I think that you would have to make the logical conclusion that the contact caused the debeat and it flew off. Because now, if he didn't have if he had his bumper on, I probably wouldn't have thought that.
Yeah.
But since I saw the edges of his bash bar wasn't rounded at the ends,
No,
it was
it
just
just poked out,
straight
yeah.
out poles at the end. So I was like, okay, if it was rounded, I probably wouldn't have thought the same. But just the fact that his bash bar was just kind of like a pipe sticking out the side, I was like, yeah, it probably did. I think you made the right call.
I thought it was on its own. And the reference that I kind of used was what we seen before Jonathan Aaron and Taylor Hall.
Oh, yeah.
Where
That popped
in that
off.
one round,
Yeah, it did.
they both debated with the hop.
Yeah.
coming
that
down.
same hop. Yeah.
So not at the same spot,
But
it
it
was
was
a different spot, but sort of similar.
They were coming
hop
back,
They
same
were
hop,
coming-
but
same
they're coming
hop.
from
They
the
were
other
just
way.
coming from the other way.
Yeah.
way. So that was and then there was this one frame that I saw that it, to me, looked like the tire was already coming off before the contact. So that's why I was erring on the side of it on its own, along with what I was thinking from watching Jonathan Aaron and Taylor Hall with their tires debating the way that it did.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's
And-
definitely hard to call it that way without the prop. I mean, you can't. I mean,
Well, like I said, it
We
really comes
reviewed it,
down to
Andy.
how his bash bar was. He didn't have a bumper on, and the bash bar was sticking outside. Like I said, if he had a bumper on and he had his bash bar was like rounded on the ends, I probably would have thought it was a hop as well. But I was just like, that's just. I mean, at the speed that that rim is spinning,
yeah.
it doesn't take much to push it in, and it's probably at like 10 psi already, anyways. It doesn't take much to pop it out, and then the direction.
Well, I
of
wasn't thinking about the way Jeremy explained it though. If it lathed off, and that's a steel bash bar, and that's an aluminum wheel, and if it like he does have the bash bar sticking out with no cap, so it would just use it'd be like a tool on a lathe and just go
take the rim
Yeah,
out, and then
zip
the
it
back.
off.
Yeah.
That happens like surprisingly quick. Like I at Texas one year, I made contact with wheel to wheel with Forsberg, and it was my front wheel to his rear wheel. And I remember like in the driver's seat watching chips of my right front wheel, like confetti, like blowing off the right
Oh,
front of
wow.
my car just from like a really quick touch,
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
shredded the wheel. So
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking that really like at the time. I was just going by the resources that we had and what we can see. And I was like, I can really only go.
Yeah.
I still didn't feel comfortable about it. I didn't know if I made the
I
right
don't know. I think it's
call,
kinda-
but that was the only thing I felt like I could do at the time.
Yeah, I mean that whole video clip is like Alec was pointing a gun at his head, but he didn't shoot him. I mean, it's like, yeah, it's like it's
What?
pretty.
How do
it's
you go? What?
Yeah. Well, I
What are
mean,
you
it's
gonna
like
say?
I'm like he was there. That's
Yeah,
what
yeah,
I'm
no,
saying.
I know.
He was there.
Mhm.
It's hard to prove. It's very hard to prove that he didn't do it. I mean, he was right at the right perfect spot.
Right. Mhm.
So I don't know.
This takes me back to what happened last round with Nick Ward and Davey Peoples. Remember on Outer Zone number 1?
Oh, well,
where
yeah. When you couldn't
we
see
couldn't
that.
tell if Davey Peoples dropped 2 tires or
Oh,
not.
that's
But it
right.
was
Yeah.
obscured
Yeah, you're
because
right.
we couldn't get the right angle, and so we're like,
had to
well,
take-
what do we do here? You know, one of those.
Yeah, that
moments.
stupid pole blocked the if it was dropped 2 tires or not. But yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we can only judge based on what we can actually see, like with our through the window or with the camera angles that we got.
Mhm.
So
Hmm.
other than that, we're kind of stuck.
Yeah.
But I think we've got plenty to work with.
Yeah, the people have spoken, and the majority voted you made the right call.
I was very surprised about that. I figured it was NTB's on the own. Judges are idiots. That's what I was. I clicked on the thing and I was like, "Oh, that's different." Like I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting like 1% was like what I chose.
No, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing about Klutch Kickers is it surprises you in more ways than one.
Yeah. The good thing is that next round we should definitely have better weather. It should be cooler around that. We should start getting some cooler weather
Yeah.
and
Which is
be a little more enjoyable, a little more relaxed. That hot weather, that humid weather, and then just worrying about the rain. Maybe we'll actually have an opening ceremony next round. I don't know.
Yeah. That'd be nice.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. Anything in particular you're looking forward to with round 4? Are you looking to make any changes in regards to your judging criteria, or is there something that because okay, let's be frank about qualifying. It was pretty rough.
Mhm.
All right.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you as a judge may or may not have felt that way. So are you looking to make any changes in regards to that? Or are you just going to double down and make some harsher decisions on the judging criteria? What are you looking forward to for round 4?
I mean, what I'm looking forward to, I think, is what you guys already mentioned about weather, less chance of rain, that kind of thing. And this was the first time that we actually completed a full event, like everything.
Mm-hmm.
So, maybe next time we can even include opening ceremonies and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But for qualifying, I mean, at this one, I think qualifying might have been like a little rough. But everybody stepped it up pretty well when it came for time for competition. I don't know what we can do to, get people to step it up before that. I mean, hopefully they can use what they learned at this one, moving on to the next one and kind of have a better idea of what to do.
Question: did you get any sort of pushback in regards to the white line that was on Outer Zone number 1? Just to clarify, the drivers were told that they have to remain above that white line, and if their bumper crosses over that, then they will be deemed a 0. And so I was just curious if you had any sort of pushback, if maybe they wanted you to sort of put the line even further down. What was everyone's take from it?
I mean, we heard from, a few people that it started too early or it ended too late, that kind of thing. As far as it being too high on the bank, I don't think it's too high. I mean, this is like a pro level event. You're competing for a lot of money. If you're gonna compete, you should be able to run the proper line. That's kind of my point of view on it.
Yeah.
Not to be too harsh, but
no, I mean driving. I don't get to drive it, so I don't know how it feels with that line. But definitely looking at the cars go around it, even if they're in the middle between the line and the wall, they're pretty far off the wall.
Yeah.
Right? So I didn't think.
The line is pretty low. Like when we're putting it around the track, you're like, you know, it's pretty dang low. So you got to be pretty far off track. I could see, you know, maybe clipping it at the very end would be easy to do, but it basically went from where the zone started to where the zone ended. And technically, from the judge's point of view, you're supposed to be on the wall from when the zone starts and when the zone ends. So you shouldn't really be anywhere near that white line on your lead run. I think most people, the drivers were definitely happier with the chalk line versus the cones at round one.
Yeah.
So we'll keep doing the chalk line. As for where it is on track, we'll make that call when we set up.
Yeah, I think it's a good visual,
Yeah,
especially for judging. I think that makes it easier.
The next round is a crisscross round, so
Is what?
the thing goes the track goes crisscross all over each other.
Oh, really?
It's all infield.
It's all infield.
It's all infield. No bank next round. So
Oh boy.
yeah, and it crisscrosses over itself. So yeah.
I gotta look at that. I didn't look at it.
I'll show you.
I'd like to be surprised.
Oh, so then don't
I'm
show it.
surprised.
What
Oh,
are you,
he's showing
what are
me.
you
Oh,
doing?
so much for the surprise.
What's the matter? Hey.
Oh yeah, that is a bean.
Yeah, it's a crisscross. But so that'd be interesting. Hopefully no rain because it's a lot of the concrete.
Right.
So
Well, we should be good because we'll be in October.
So it'll be interesting to see this one because
And the last two rounds are gonna be 2 weeks apart.
yeah. That's another thing.
I didn't realize it until this last day. It's like
It's literally like 2 weeks.
mid-October and then beginning of November, so it's like they're like 2 weeks apart.
So it should be a pretty quick
Back to back
Back to back almost,
yeah.
season.
yeah.
Ender. So
Yeah, if there's any car mechanical problems, and they gotta like quickly whip it back into shape.
Yeah, it
So
should be
then have a lot
fine.
of
Cletus
time.
has got a good crew. Cletus guy. Did you know Cletus before this? I mean,
I did not, no.
No. Yeah, he's pretty cool. I mean, he's definitely going to do that Mustang. Huge difference from last round to this round. He's really getting a handle on it.
Yeah, hopefully he gets some seat time in it and gets it, you know, dialed in, comfortable in it.
Well,
Sort of off topic that's not related to Klutch Kickers. We have a question in the chat by a Patrick Gooden for our guest over here, who writes, "Can you ask when Jeremy's car will be done?"
I'm shooting for the end of the year, but I said that last year, so
me too. Yeah, me too.
so yeah, no, it's honestly really close. It's been really close for a long time, but I'll probably tinker on it a little bit tomorrow. I just kind of every once in a while spend a Saturday on it. So.
So, are you trying to do an event before the end of the year, or is it just something looking forward to next year?
I mean, I just want my car's just been literally sitting since 2015, and
oh wow.
For the past few years, I've been kind of like, you know, doing little things here and there. It's ran the whole time, like mechanically it's been good, but I just wasn't, it just like wasn't in me to want to take it out and drive it and, you know, do the maintenance and stuff that I needed to do before that. So I was like, maybe if I do some upgrades and make it,
It'll motivate you.
make it better than it was before, then like I'll be psyched to go out, you know, take it out, like have a better car than it was when I was like driving FD. So that's what I've been like, doing all this stupid stuff to it and delaying coming to the track, but hopefully soon. There's an event in December that I'm pushing for.
Okay. Yeah. That's the Winter Matsuri. Is that the one?
Yeah.
The one at the firm? Yeah.
I'm
Good deal.
gonna try to drive that one too.
I've been waiting to put rear brake calipers on my car for like 6 months, so maybe I'll get
At
that
least that's
done.
easy. Yeah, but that's easy. That's easy. You should bang that on a couple hours if you don't get distracted.
Yeah. I had a question. Sorry, just messed that up. Do you have a piece of advice for the competitors going into round 4? Do you think maybe ask more questions during the drivers' meeting, protest less?
Always protest less.
Yeah, maybe protest less or more commitment. I mean, or something that sort of could help these guys out for the next round.
I think for a lot of people, definitely more commitment. I mean, I don't know how many people I saw that, were working their way up on the bank and they would like initiate, like look good on the wall, but would hesitate and lift for a second and then get back in it. And they just lost all their momentum and drove down the bank over the white line, or like we're driving down off the wall and trying to do things to stay up there, but everything they did just made it worse, like jamming foot brake or trying to grab handbrake or whatever, just making it worse. I just think commitment, maybe not setting your car up so grippy that you struggle with it.
Yeah,
like,
I was thinking about that.
Yeah,
like make it easy to drive, at least through qualifying. Like I want to see you out there hot dogging it. I don't care if it's loose. Like if you're hitting your marks on the track and doing everything that we ask you to do, you're going to get a good score, whether you're gripped up or your car's easy to drive. And then like do follow run in practice and see if you're off pace. And if you're not, leave it easy to drive. If you are a little bit off pace, gradually, add some heat to it and get a little more speed. But, we make it easy to drive so you can qualify good. Definitely words of advice.
Well, I mean, that's a great way to kind of wrap this up for you to give that advice, because I know there's one thing that we were talking with some people the day before is that practice was going so miserable because the guys were so gripped up. They're just, it gets in, and we were guilty of this back in the day. A lot of guys were just overemphasize setup, right? They're just like setup. Oh, my car's got to be dialing perfect, that they're more concerned with their setup than actually putting down consistent runs. And then anytime they make a mistake, they blame it on their setup, right? But I guess going into round 4, it's going to be exciting. We're glad to have you back. Maybe season 4, you'll be behind the driver's seat and not judging. That would be pretty cool to hear a rotary out there. I mean, Colette did bring her rotary out, so that was kind of cool to hear that rotary echoing in that little Thunderdome that the Freedom Factory has there. Is there anything else that you're looking forward to when we kind of wrap this up, or
looking I'm looking forward to the next one. Looking forward to the end of the season. Hopefully everything goes smoothly. We're working our way up. So
yeah. Well, one last thing I have to ask you is, what's the hot spot in Bradenton? We have yet to find a place for an after party.
Yeah.
I don't really know too much about Bradenton. I'm more of a Sarasota guy.
Well, that's not too far away.
Yeah, no, I'm just south of Bradenton.
All right. Well, that's your homework for round 4.
Find
a place for the after party.
Where the spot is.
Yeah, let us know where the spot is. All right, Jeremy. Well, thank you for taking out this time and joining us. Thank you for the high definition quality picture that you provided.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And we look forward to not only seeing you next round, but also hopefully seeing you back behind the seat again.
All right. Thank you, guys.
All right. Take care, man. Good night.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Yeah, I miss the rotary sounds.
Yeah.
That's one thing that, just having them come out and just wah, 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 wah,
Yeah,
the rotary sounds.
Dan,
I love, that was great. I'm not a fan of the V8, even though like Alec Hunnerdale's V8 sounds like a beast, and Jonathan Nairn, all those V8s sound great, but I'm just a fan of Boost. I'm not a fan of V8s.
Now hearing rotaries and
Mike,
hearing rotaries and just hearing different engines other than an LS based motor
Yeah.
is it's nice to hear.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
And considering that the LSs are really loud. I mean, when compared to like a 1J, a 2J, you barely hear those cars.
In comparison.
Right?
Like when they go by and you have like a 1J, battling a 2J and they're out there, you're like, oh, they sound like they're ripping. But when you throw like Alec Hunnerdale out there with Adam LZ, you don't even hear Adam's car.
Yeah, I don't even yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. You don't even freaking hear Adam's car.
I mean, those cars sound like monsters. Actually, it seemed like a lot of times, to me, it seemed like Alec Hunnerdale was like fighting his car. He seemed like he was.
He looked like he was understeering.
He seemed like he was too gripped up almost.
Well, I mean, you're gripped up in the back, maybe, yeah, but
like
the
he
front
couldn't let
was
off.
loose.
Anytime he let off, he would like almost
the front would lose. Yeah, the front would just couldn't stay where he was aiming it. I guess. It was weird. It's like I was saying before. It's like every round, it seems like some other random car driver is the fastest.
So who was it this round?
Like this round for me, it was Naren.
Yeah,
I think his car looked the best. It was the most hooked up. To me, it looked like it was the fastest.
Yeah. Round one was definitely Conor Rosoli.
That thing was just like a freaking rocket.
What about last round, though?
And then last round, I want to say the fastest that I saw. I don't know if it was McDowell or I think it was Alec. Alec looked pretty freaking fast.
But it's also kind of hard because last round was in the infield.
Yeah, so it's very hard to tell on the infield. Alec looked way more dialed last round than this round. The car just looked like it couldn't keep its front grip at all. It looked like he definitely needed more front grip.
Yeah, Taylor Holt not doing himself any favors as far as the point race, taking that
car. Yeah, but I mean his car
I think was
also in Seattle, so
I get it.
Kind of hard to go move that back and forth.
He should have just kept the Cadillac as his.
I don't know. I wonder. Does he sell the Cadillac? I think he sold the Cadillac.
Yeah, I think I'm saying he should have kept that for Klutch Kickers and then.
I think it's either 100,000. I mean, he probably sold that car for plus 100,000. Well, so I don't know.
I guess
if you think about it, Timmy,
when you put it like that, I guess you're right.
Yeah, $100,000 or keep it.
$100,000.
$100,000 sounds pretty good.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah.
All right. So Ben, what do you have for us next?
Well, I was actually gonna get something else up, but do you want to quickly go over how the trip went for us, or?
Sure. Yeah. So the trip went great.
It was
no, I'm just saying it was good. we found our own little spot on the way up, even though Paul says it's horrible, but I think it's great. The little Celtic Ray.
I can't eat any more fish and chips, man.
Well, there's plenty. There's plenty on the menu.
Can't eat any more fish and chips, even though it looks like I can.
There's no, there's plenty of other things on our menu. Anyhow, I enjoy it obviously so much more because we can get up there and back so much quicker. So it's been way more pleasurable going up to these events. And but I will tell you, we had an interesting hotel issue at first with the whole
I think I'm still suffering from that, dude.
Yeah. So we get to the hotel, and this is the same hotel we stayed at last time. Everything was great last time. This time we get there, and Paul's like, "Man, I smell epoxy." Sure enough, we get to the third floor. The second floor? I think it was second floor first.
Hey, you got to give me props for that. I knew exactly what it was right when we walked in.
I give you props. So what? Anyways, whatever. So we get there, and it's just like, almost instant headache.
Reeks.
I mean, like really bad, really, really bad. Ended up there resurfacing the tubs
with epoxy.
So we get another room, go to that room, and then all the beds are upside down and all over the place. So I was like, okay, we can't go here. So the third time was a charm. We got on the fourth floor, and everything was good, and everything ended up working out okay.
No, I mean we got to see what the contractors their wonderful job that they did.
Oh yeah, it was
right. So what? He started breaking down their work.
There was epoxy on the counter.
Yeah,
what?
They had drips of epoxy on the counter.
And it's nothing to do with cars, but we're just telling you about our stay. But anyways, it was definitely the lowest bidder that got this job.
Right.
Yeah,
because they're epoxying the rooms at like 9 o'clock at night. Not a good idea with people living or like staying on that floor.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so that was, but then that worked out good. So we get to the event. The schedule's moved up a little bit, so a little more rushed. I want to thank Jeff and his crew because huge difference from round one to this round in just the efficiency of everything. How well everybody was dialed in. It seemed like everything was on point. It seemed like everything went smoother.
Just to clarify, you're talking about Jeff from Dread in the Garage, who's handling the live stream for the Klutch Kicker series.
Yes, absolutely, and I appreciate his counsel as far as and helping me and you improve each other, and also help guiding us through the process. It makes me and Ben better at what we do, and there's always room to grow, right?
Right.
So we're thankful for them. We're also thankful for Cletus for just continuing to just help Klutch Kickers. I'm really hoping that the Klutch Kickers, the live stream is helping them out, because we want to see us keep going on for years to come. But anyhow, it was great to get there and talk with Brandon Whitnick. I think that's the longest conversation I've been able to hold with Brandon Whitnick. A lot of times, hey, how you been?
Right.
That kind of thing. So it's cool to be able to spend a little more time with some of the drivers. That is probably the highlight of my weekend. Not so much the announcing. It's fun, but it's stressful because
Is it?
Yeah, it is stressful because I'm my worst critic, and I listen to myself, and I hate listening to myself. Just like,
I think there's actually science behind it. I think I actually looked into it, and there's it's pretty common for you to hate your own voice. And it may not necessarily, maybe for you, it may not necessarily be the voice, but maybe your mannerisms that you take issues with.
that's what I take
Oh,
issues
you
with.
do? Okay.
The tone of my voice,
Why do I hate your voices?
the tone of my voice.
Because you hate everything, Paul. Come on.
Yeah, I've got to the point where I know that my voice is what it is, so there's nothing I can do about that. But learning how to speak better is something I have to strive for. Saying certain words like "unfortunately" or "no stranger to this" or "no stranger to that."
Well, you fix that.
stranger.
I'm getting better with that.
Right.
So now what I've walked away with, and I say it a lot, I'm just trying to get used to every day not using those words. So, and filler words. I'm trying to get rid of filler words. And I one thing I noticed is I have to speak slower. I try to talk too fast, and it sounds gurgled, mumbled.
President Obama. You have to space your words.
No, but that's too
out.
slow.
But see, no.
I think it's a good pace.
Well, I think it is, but I need to speak clearer. So you say that, right? But then if you watch soccer, those guys talk fast.
Oh, yeah. But it's fast-paced action.
It's fast. Soccer?
Yeah.
It's fast-paced action.
When they're kicking the ball around, and they have to like name each person that they pass it off to, and how they're setting up for the goal. I mean, or for the cross, or for a play, or if they're going back.
I guess.
Or
How much soccer do you watch?
I've been trying to watch different announcers and sportscasters and listen to them and see how they, do what their job, like announce and their different styles and everything. And like to Paul's point, find how to be excited or bring energy without yelling, because then that harms the voice. I mean, he's right. But at the same, when I listened to it, he was over exaggerating. I didn't think I was screaming into the mic. I
didn't say you were screaming. I said you were loud.
Right, but I was loud. I was definitely. You basically said you're talking exactly the same but louder, and that wasn't the case. Definitely not the case. So I take a little bit of what he says, and I peel off all the garbage on the outside, and I'm like, oh, this actually is useful. There's a little nugget of truth here.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, I will use that, right? I will use that a little bit, and I'll throw everything else away. So that 10% of helpful advice that I got from him, I'll take it, and I'll use it to hopefully make myself better for next round.
Right.
Yeah. What was your what was your question? Was my highlight, or how did everything go? I think
no, the question that sort of started off was like, how was the trip overall?
Yeah.
So we're kind of like working through it.
Right.
And we're getting to the event, but
I thought that it was going very good up until like the top 8, and it just, with all the protests and all the other stuff, I thought it lost a lot of steam. That was my take over the whole event.
Okay. Before we get to that, one thing I do want to mention is, and you touched on it, is that I want to thank the drivers for taking the time to stop what they're doing. I know it's high pace and there's a lot of things going on.
A lot of relentless stuff going on.
But I want to thank the drivers for taking the time to talk with us. I mean, I know it may not necessarily be like their favorite thing to do. It's like, why do I have to stop what I'm doing to talk to these fools? So, and I think it's not only a matter of just wanting to. I mean, for me, it's generally wanting to get to know these people. It's like, what brings them here?
Well, it's
What's the story behind them?
Yeah.
And then sort of getting those pieces of information and putting it into a palatable format in order for us to then present it out to the world to see, like, okay, well, these are the highlights. And these are the things that we could quickly mention, because really there's not a lot of time between when they're called up, burnout box, line up, and then go.
Yeah, I think and I don't know if like Jared Deanna does this, or if any other announcers in drifting do this as much or feel the same way about it as we do, is that we're asking the questions. Like you said, we do appreciate the drivers taking their time and not just giving us information, but also showing us love, like Will Couch did with his Relentless Glows, giving us some shirts and stuff. But the reason why we're doing it is because we want to build their fan base. We want to have as much information to share with those fans that are watching, not just live, but on the live stream as well, in order to make them relatable. And they may not, maybe the certain drivers don't realize how important that is, but if they're taking drifting seriously, the more people they can get to just follow their Instagram or support them or know their name or can relate, right? It could be something like, I forget what driver it was. They played, I think it was Brandon McDowell or one of the drivers. They said that they played baseball, or they did some other type of sport, right? Well, there's young fans out there that maybe they're in a little league team, right? And they're out there watching drifting for the first time, and they find out this drifter, he plays baseball too, and they associate themselves, and people, that's what they do. That's what we do as humans, is we want to see ourselves in successful people, because then it's going to it just something that you may just be encouraging the next drifter to come out, get the car or get behind the wheel or something, whatever it is. But you're building a fan base and you're building a relationship with people you may not ever meet. But if we can make you relatable to the audience, it's going to help you, not with just your program, but it's going to help with the show as well.
And one other thing to add to that is when you look at the social, like you could be a follower on their social media channels, and you'll often get like the end product. You see that they're like sliding and they're getting photos taken and so forth. But what we're sort of trying to do is sort of get the audience to understand it's like, okay, well, yeah, they're out there sliding, they're killing it, but there was these struggles, these challenges that they went through that they're not necessarily broadcasting out to the world, or maybe they didn't have a camera or something to sort of document it and be able to sort of say like, hey, look, like, yes, you could get to this point, but you'll have to go through all these situations just to get to it. Just the same way how, case in point, what happened with Savio, where, the Saturday we saw the car on fire, right? And you would think like, okay, well, he's out. And then if there was no way for anybody to document what happened with the car afterwards, where everybody worked around the clock to get the car back up and going, you would think like, oh, well, I mean, the fire wasn't necessarily serious, because from one day to the next, he was able to get the car back up and running, but that's not really true. I mean, that's just...
And all these backstories is what makes the event so appealing to a lot of people, right? You get these hardships. Yes, it sucks for a lot of drivers that are going through it, but for those that are watching, those that are either watching live or those onlookers that are focused in on the event, these are all maybe a low light for like Savio, right? His car caught on fire, but it just makes everything exciting. And it's so, I'm going to go back a little bit. Some of my best memories were some of the worst times mechanically for my vehicle or something breaking down. Do you know what I'm saying?
The diff.
My diff. But what I'm saying, I mean, all kinds of stuff. Like, I look back on everything that I've done, whether it be racing or car shows, all the stuff that I've done throughout, my life. The highlights that I remember the most were those times that seem most dismal. And how, either somebody came through and saved the day, or we were able to pull together and accomplish something, or maybe not. Maybe just call it, we put a valiant effort forth, but we're unable to succeed at that task. But there was still, I look back at the camaraderie that I had with those in around me, and what we went through to achieve those goals are some of my best memories. So on camera, like his car catching on fire, or Alec Hunnerdale hitting the wall, or that's the second time he hit the wall, right?
Right.
These are things that they make the event worth watching. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I mean, it adds that diversity in all these different situations, watching drivers pull through, be able to push past all those difficulties and still go on. And that's what makes it exciting. So whatever we can do as announcers to provide everybody that's watching on a live stream with as much information on you guys, please help us out. And if you don't, that's fine. We're never going to intrude. But anything, we're always open. You can always message us on Drift Sessions, and we'll do whatever we can to support you guys.
Right. And if you see us around the pits and we're sort of like hesitant to go like up, it's mainly because we know you're working around the clock to get the car running. So we're just trying to just not intrude or break up the flow of things. And then worst case scenario is, like I mentioned, you could just send us a message. And I think a lot of drivers, well, I want to say a lot, but there was a good amount of drivers actually reached out to us during the event and kind of gave us updates as to what was happening behind the scenes, like Randy Noah breaking axles back to back, and
Brandon McDowell.
Brandon McDowell, where it was the axle first and then the engine, unfortunately. So these are moments that it's we talked about it before, where we could just speculate what's going on, like when Brandon McDowell just all of a sudden just lost drift, and it was one tire fire. Or we're
literally.
we're thinking like, oh, it's a differential or something like that, but instead it was the axle.
Right.
So just to kind of zero in on that, to kind of get clarity, and so we don't speculate. I think it's
No speculation.
Speculation.
No speculation.
Right.
So what do you got for us, Ben?
No.
Got nothing.
Wait, what?
He's got nothing.
Oh, I thought you had something else.
No, he was talking to you.
Oh, we're just talking.
Right.
Oh,
no, I was just talking about the trip.
Oh,
and
yeah,
then,
yeah.
You know,
I agree.
we dealt with the.
He thought you were teeing up something.
I thought you were I thought you were
Oh, I-
winding
He
it
was
up.
talking to you the whole time. How would you tee nothing up?
I don't know.
I have things queued up.
See,
I have things queued up. I just want to.
He's got stuff in the queue.
because oftentimes
Ooh.
when we don't get the opportunity to go over the details as to what happened, and maybe people are curious or not.
yeah, I do. I'm going to drop a little teaser for next episode that you guys don't know about, but it's
What?
something I want to talk about
Okay.
before I forget. Because I know if I wait to the end, like I was trying to do, I'm going to forget, and I'm telling myself, you
Right.
better mention it now because forget. One of the topics I want to talk about next time is people using their influence to change events. Or
Oh, okay. I know
okay, we're going to talk about that next. So if you guys are watching now, that's what I want to talk about next time, and I'll go over some more detail. But people using their clout to change things, whether it be event rules or whether it be not have to follow the rules like everybody else, kind of thing.
Okay.
Be
All right.
interesting topic.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I got some stuff.
you got some stuff.
Yeah. Anyways, so what we got next?
Yeah, but no, just kind of like or wrap it up. But glad that when we were able to get through, we finished. No major issues. I agree with what you said with the whole thing with Alec and Josiah. Kind of just brought things to a halt where we had a good flow going, and then it was just like, okay, well then it was just a significant amount of downtime. It's good to see Paul was with us again. Well, working the graphics.
Yeah.
He may not-
Actually, I read them right this time, and were you leaving me on the, like some of the calls came through kind of slower. It's like, oh, one more time. Well, for this person.
Oh,
Was that you?
I totally played it like
Play
that.
like that?
Oh yeah, any chance I have a chance, because anytime I'm watching the judges come in with their results and I'm seeing them, so I'm like, oh, I can totally play it to where it looks like this guy's gonna
Yeah,
win.
you did that a couple
and then
times.
shabam!
Yeah,
It
he
one
plays
more
with
time.
emotions.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I like to
I was
play
like,
with
what's
people's
going
emotions.
on? So
Yeah.
at least I was more aware.
That's the only fun part of my job is that I get to display results, and sometimes, so like if I have like say if one judge went with one guy and the other went with the other guy, and then one did a one more time, well, obviously that's going to be a one more time. So I'm going to do This judge went this way. This judge went this way.
And
And then
this judge-
I delay the one more time a little bit, and I boom, hit it with the one more time. Boom, it's one more time. No, that's yeah,
Adds
no.
excitement to it.
Yeah, I like it.
It does. I think
Yeah,
that's
no,
great.
That's I like doing it, so I
Yeah.
have fun.
I think that's good.
I'm glad you had fun because
I had my fun.
You looked stressed out.
Not as much this
No,
last
I'm
time.
kidding.
The
No,
last,
man.
the first of it, yeah, he was stressed.
I was pissed the first event. Yeah, I was like, "What the hell is this?
Yeah.
I don't work."
All right, cool. So for those of you who missed the live stream, baldigo.com, that's what happened. And if you're not, you could feel free to wait for the public viewing to be released at the Klutch Kickers YouTube channel.
Mhm.
So be sure to check that out. Then round 4 is taking place when?
October 23rd
I should have these
through
things
the
queued
24th.
up.
I think.
Sorry.
It's
I think
sorry.
that's 23rd or 22nd through the
Hate when
24th.
That happens.
It's October 21st to 23rd,
Okay, that's close.
and then after that, it's
November
November 11th to
11th.
13th,
Mhm.
and that's the wild card round. So fans and drivers will vote for the previous.
Oh, this just in.
What?
I got a message on OfferUp. Is this still available?
Well, really?
Oh boy.
I get that a lot.
I get it all the time
Okay.
too.
I'm sorry.
Here we go. One of the things I do wanted to mention and highlight.
Oh, wow.
Whoa, look at SFL Drifters.
Oh,
Woo!
wow. What's
Is that the red? That is red smoke tires.
Yeah. Look at that.
What do you got?
Yeah, that's it. So
Jeremy's car before the body kit. Oh, that's funny.
right. So this was our first encounter. Well, for everyone here, this was the first encounter with Jeremy Lowe at Homestead Miami Speedway. We
Is
talked
that the
about
first encounter, really?
It. Well, for all of us, because this was back in December 2007.
I thought in 2007.
This is 2007.
Oh my god!
I told you. Yeah, it
right.
started.
Look at that.
You see that?
Red tires. Yeah, they were like, get him off the track. Oh, look at Eric.
SD.
That's SD. Yeah.
I thought it,
No, that's Pop. Is that SD?
That's SD,
Yeah,
yeah.
SD.
Yeah,
Pablo.
I thought this thing was had all of his photos together, but I guess-
Well, no, let's go look at the rest of them.
Maybe you
dude.
started at the So this is
Hey,
there's
there
Sean.
we go, Sean.
That's Juan.
That's one. Now
Hey, now it's Kyle.
Kyle.
Clean 5-5. 5.
SD
Left a 5 out. It's Eric Mall, not the maker of the Pistons, just last name Mall.
in your face.
Yep.
I don't know why I like. There's
Pablo. Yeah, that's the car. His helmet flew out the other side of the car, and
yeah.
there's Jeremy. Wow, yeah, it's like you look back and all these cars are like mostly stock,
right.
and these were like the best drivers at the time. Because
Yeah.
we were selecting drivers to do this demo. This was a demo at
the
the
best, yeah, the
Homestead
best of the
Speedway
drivers.
Miami, and these were the best drivers in Florida around at the time.
Yeah.
And it's just looking back at these cars, you're just like, wow, there's not even a body kit on it.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
All right, so there was that. Then the other thing I wanted to highlight with you guys is
Wait, hold a
this.
second.
What?
Can you pull? Does Jeremy still have his profile? So one thing I found interesting about Jeremy Lowe's, Jeremy's Lowe's.
No.
We always used to have these. You'd have a quote. You have your forum name,
Oh,
and then you would have a quote.
Pull up Jeremy's member.
profile. I'm just curious if you could pull it up.
okay, hang on. Let's see.
It would be
FC
BMX something, right? Didn't he have FCX BMX? Wasn't it like that?
FC3. And does I wonder if it's still there? Is it still there? Now it's gone.
No, signatures. Yeah, no, he changed
signature.
it.
Yeah,
That's when he went pro. He took that out of there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. We'll leave it alone.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's better if he doesn't know.
He knows.
He doesn't know.
He's got to know.
He doesn't know.
He's got to know. There's no way.
There's no way.
Just he's got to know.
He'll never
All
know.
right,
He'll never know. Well, I'll tell him.
gentlemen, are you ready for the future?
No, I hate the future. The future sucks.
Okay.
I want to go back to the past.
Wait,
You're
hold
gonna
on.
have to
Wait,
deal with
look up
this.
mine. Look up mine, actually.
What? Are you
Look
serious?
up mine. Yeah, look up mine.
Yeah, look at this. This is right on
Oh,
top.
gosh.
Look up
I have this-
Shoppa.
Shoppa.
I think that's what I left. it.
Okay. Okay. Search over here.
Was it Shoppa?
I think so. No.
No.
Try what was Mac Murphy?
You don't even remember.
I don't remember. I
Was it-
changed my
was
thing
it
all the
Pycon?
freaking.
No.
No.
Mac. Oh,
There he is.
What are you looking for?
his signature.
Oh,
the
yeah, what,
signature.
that was it right there. But the picture's no longer valid.
Oh, okay. All right. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. right, let's see. Where was I? Oh yeah, this thing. And what?
The future sucks.
Bam! Look at that.
Oh,
That's proof.
what the
The
frickin'
future
hell
sucks.
is that?
Yeah.
The future is not bright.
Dismal.
Right. So recently, Dodge announced that they're gonna discontinue both the Charger and the Challenger, both popular takeover vehicles. And one of the vehicles that they decided to replace it with is this new Dodge Charger Daytona SRT concept.
So they schmerged them together.
An all-electric vehicle that will soon take over the streets, and you may find at a takeover near you.
And the Hunger Games will probably start right after that's released.
Maybe so, but in any case,
That's the way society's
take a
going.
look at this.
So pick a faction, everybody. Pick a faction.
Well,
Is it playing?
car's running.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, well, you can't hear it, so.
Oh, yeah.
It's electric.
It's electric.
So one of the interesting things.
So it's got the
about it-
Challenger front end and the Charger rear end,
I guess so.
Yeah, actually, yeah, you're right. Look like that.
right? Like, right?
Similar.
It's
You know what
weird.
it kind of reminds me of?
Hmm.
Have you guys ever seen that old movie, The Black Hole?
No.
No.
Kinda reminds me of the-
Maximilian. It was a character. It was a robot. Reminds me of that.
Hey, wait,
kinda.
it's 2 doors. The Charger never came 2 doors, did it?
Oh, yeah. Well, the old ones did.
Yeah, but
Yes.
not the new ones.
Not the new ones.
That's
no.
cool.
Hmm. I
That's
think
interesting.
It's too tall.
yeah, I think the back though, like they should have shortened up the back a little bit. I don't know. I don't like it because it's electric.
And it's got a wing in the
That's
front.
it.
It's got a
You
wing in
don't
the front.
like the looks. You don't like.
I won't even
the,
entertain anything
presence
else.
of it?
I won't even entertain anything else because
Oh,
it's
okay.
because it's
All right.
electric.
The hell's with the triangle?
It's the Illuminati.
Oh,
No, that's I think the brand for the Stellantis.
What the hell's that?
Stellantis.
What the hell's
It throws a
Stellantis?
Dodge.
What?
It says Dodge Charger Daytona SRT concept.
What does that say?
The
Fratzonic?
the parent company is Stellantis or Stellantis.
The parent company?
Yeah, that's the parent company.
Oh, that's the person who owns Dodge?
Yep.
I thought Chrysler owned Dodge.
Not anymore. The wheels are
Stellantis?
ugly.
Did, but then they got bought up. And then
Wheels are ugly.
they're
I actually like those wheels. I'm sorry. I think those wheels are cool.
You should
Hey.
apologize.
What the hell is that? A screaming
is it?
man?
What? Yeah. What
Usually
is
it's a Hellcat, but
that looks like Batman.
It's a demon, I guess. I don't know.
I like
the
mirrors.
Hellcat, the demon. Oh, there
well,
comes.
it's moving.
And it sounds like it has an
Whoa.
engine.
What do you mean? It sounds like it has an engine.
I hear something rumbling.
Why would it sound like that?
Well, it produces sounds. You don't
But
know.
what I'm saying is, like, if you're gonna make an electric car, make it sound like an electric car, right?
So how's an electric car supposed to sound?
Like nothing, like boringness, right?
Ah, okay.
So don't make an electric car sound like it has a
There it is.
That's the sound. That's the sound we're looking for, ladies and gentlemen. It makes noise.
but it's not even a good. Why? Why would you do that?
You remember that speaker? That
I know. I was thinking about.
That's what they have in it. I bet you they do. They have that muffler speaker.
But what I'm saying is, it doesn't have an engine in it, so don't give it an engine sound. Make it sound like the Jetsons mobile, right? I mean, don't. Yeah. It's like almond milk, Paul. This is like almond milk of
yeah,
vehicles.
this is the fake
It's not milk, so
nut
don't
milk.
call it milk.
nut milk. I like the freaking interior though. That's pretty cool.
The seats are nice,
Yeah,
but that's
the seats
it.
are cool. I don't know. It's a big. Well, I mean,
Why would you even put?
At
Who
least-
posted that?
at least
This is it. That person should be taken off YouTube.
Well, hey,
I wanna
look.
hear it again.
What I like is that when they do a takeover now, not only will there be people ran over, the cars will be ignited on fire from the batteries.
Mhm.
So
Oh.
it'll be
That'd be
on
great.
fire, takeover, and will burn down.
Why are they doing that?
That sounds very menacing.
It sounds like a V6. Sounds like the V6 Camaro.
Sounds stupid.
It sounds horrible.
Can you make it sound like a rotary?
Hey, maybe you
can
can
you
hack it-
upload rotary sounds?
Maybe if you hack into the system, you're able to do that.
You can upload a rotary.
Who knows? Oh well.
Well,
That was that.
that is disappointing.
That sucked.
Man, the world is not bright. The future is not bright
No, it's
for
dismal.
cars.
I'm telling you, not too long after this, they're going to separate us into factions, and you're going to have the
The
electric car
charger
faction,
people and the
electric
non-charger people.
No, the electric car factions. Put me back in the the 80s car faction.
Hmm.
That's where I'll be.
Mhm.
a miner digging in dirt,
Looking for.
Was there something?
having my children snatched away by the EV
You know what we need
people.
to start doing is figuring out how to convert corn to ethanol.
It's already been. What do you mean?
What do you mean? We need to learn how to do that because otherwise there's not going to be eventually any
We can
gas.
go biodiesel.
Biodiesel?
Yeah, and just go
What
to
do you know
McDonald's
about
and fill
diesel?
up.
The freaking hell is that?
People do that all the time, don't they? They take
No.
like old cooking oil and they use it to
I
power
don't
their
think
vehicle.
so. No.
Yeah, biodiesel.
No.
Yeah, man. What are you pulling up now?
This is something that Paul wanted to show us.
Oh, it's.
Oh,
gotta
this
be
is
boring.
interesting. Yeah. No,
Oh, what is this?
Let me.
So it's
cue
a
this up.
So what's kind of cool? Oh, you want to set it up?
No, go ahead. I'm saying it
So-
up on my end. Go ahead.
I ran into this online the other day, and I'm like, "Whoa, virtual engine!" So this guy actually simulates. Oh, he makes an engine sound simulator. So that graphic is not just a graphic; it's actually simulating how an engine would sound.
How does it do that?
Well, I don't know. With programming and mathematics, he has developed a way to make the engine actually sound like a real engine because it is. It's actually combusting and taking in air and taking it out, all through simulation.
It's not real, so it can't take.
Well, yeah, no.
Hey,
he's-
what's up, guys, and welcome back.
He explains the whole
What
thing.
you just watched was a real-time internal combustion engine simulation that I've been working on for the past few months. Now, I've always been pretty disappointed with the quality of car engine sounds in games, and when I used to play PlayStation 2 back in the day and knew absolutely nothing about programming, I often wondered why it wasn't possible to just realistically simulate the entire engine.
Yeah.
Well, I figured
what
that
he
it
did.
was finally time to answer this question for myself.
guy built
So
this
here's a
whole
prime
thing.
example
smart guy.
of one of these bad car engine sounds.
I know that's just horrible. Yeah, I don't
Now, I know that
why they
most of these are optimized for performance, so I don't expect them to be perfect, but I still think that they can be improved. But what exactly makes it bad in the first place? Well, first of all, engines sound different under different conditions. So for example, an engine is going to sound different when it's idling compared to when it's under heavy load or when it's decelerating, and I feel like this is often overlooked in a lot of these games. Engines also have non-linear response characteristics, and what I mean by this is that the gas pedal does not dictate a speed to the engine, like it might in the case of electric motors. It simply opens some throttle plates and allows the engine to freely choose its own speed, and this is obviously regulated by how much air is going into the engine. In real life, this looks kind of like this. Notice how the engine might take some time to react to that input, and there are a lot of complex factors that give every engine sort of a unique character.
We're going to watch this whole
My
thing.
goal with this project
It is
was
really
to
cool,
replicate
'cause
all of this complexity in digital form
Thing that he's showing right there, you can keep it playing. The visualization
and
is not
create a
just
virtual engine that
visualization,
I can
or if
interact
say the right
with
word.
in
Yeah,
real
but
time.
visualization.
So let me explain how this
Visualization,
works.
yes. It's not.
So the first
it's
thing is
actually
a rigid body
part of the
simulator
simulation.
simulates all of the interactions between the internal components, like the crankshaft and connecting rods and pistons. Usually this is called your rotating assembly.
Rotaries?
I wrote
No.
this physics engine a few months ago, and I made a video about it if you're interested. Now, I want to emphasize that this is not some sort of visualization. This is totally legit. It is a rigid body simulation. And just to prove it, I can remove some of the links, and all of a sudden we have whatever this is. So in other words, all of the
There's a
forces
rotary.
between the links, including things like inertia and even the sliding friction between the cylinder walls and the pistons are taken into consideration in this simulation. I also implemented a physically realistic fluid simulation to handle the airflow between the cylinders and the other parts of the engine. I tried to take as few shortcuts as possible, so there aren't really any tricks or shenanigans here. The air molecules and the bulk velocity of that air is simulated in a realistic way as it travels through the engine, and a physically accurate amount of energy is released when that fuel is burned. Even the speed of the flame propagation in the cylinder is very accurately simulated. This entire simulation, by the way, has to run at around 80,000 frames per second to remain stable, so it had to be heavily optimized. And I'll show you what happens if it runs any slower. Basically, your engine just grenades into the 4th dimension immediately.
If it doesn't run at 80,000 frames, it does this. Like
Gone.
The pressure wave that is created in the exhaust system is sent directly to a separate thread that then converts it into an audio signal. The final audio signal
basically,
consists
he
of
takes
some plain
the
white
pressure.
noise,
He calculates
a little
the
bit
pressure
of
wave
equalization, and a filter
and he
which
filters
approximates the
to
sound
come up with
propagation
an actual
pattern
engine sound.
within the exhaust system. So here's a demonstration starting with the bass pressure wave, which
Ben seems
kind of
interested.
sounds a little bit uninteresting.
It's really cool.
And once all of the added processing is there, you can see that it sounds a little bit more familiar.
Can't really hear it, but that's before processing. No, that's after filtering it. What's cool is he can change the setup. He can make it inline. He can do 2 cylinders, 1 cylinder. You can also do like horsepower rating too.
I wonder if that's working. That's a lot of time to spend. I don't have that much time with things. But he's probably really good at what he does.
The simulation is actually so accurate that it can predict horsepower curves given a set of engine specifications, usually to within 10%. And I'll show you how that works in a minute. These engine specifications are defined in a Piranha script.
That's pretty cool.
where
That's
you
pretty
can
cool. That's
connect
different.
multiple
That was
individual-
That was a cool thing for like, you know, for games. Like, why can't a game use this instead of recording sounds of cars? I mean, even if it's just a small, like a more of an arcadey game, like that one that she showed, but you know, not like Forza, but you know, some of the Forza sounds, even to now, are still horrible.
Right. But I was just thinking now, the last thing you mentioned is that he could get the horsepower estimate within like 10%, right?
Just by
So-
using the dimensions he came up with.
So you could really maybe like throw in some numbers if you're kind of like curious as to what modifications
Could
you
change.
want to do on your
Yeah, that's
thing, and
interesting.
that could kind of simulate what power output you might get out of it.
Yeah.
Well,
I thought it was pretty cool and interesting, and I've never seen anything like that before. And the fact that he even could do it, which was crazy, which I've never seen that. So typically how they do game audio is they just record cars. And then they sample them, and then you don't get the he goes on to further about how car games never have when you're downshifting and you're engine braking, how it never sounds right. He can simulate engine braking really easy.
he would know.
Braking engines.
Yeah, most recently.
I didn't downshift.
That's the
That
yeah. You
blew
didn't
my
upshift.
motor.
That was the problem.
Oh my god! No, you know what I think it was, and now that I think back to it, is I hit a very large puddle, and the car kind of ran rough. I think I started to bend the rod when I think I got some water in there, and I bent the rod by eating water in the engine. So
Could be.
and then a little bit of bent rod, and then sending it to 7,000 RPM, sent it out the side of the
For 10
block.
minutes straight.
Yeah, it was not 10 minutes.
9.
Anyways.
Anyhow.
Anywho, anything else you guys want to add? I think I pretty much covered everything for the most part.
No.
The one small tidbit that I want to add, because you went over the standings pretty quickly, is that Adam, LZ, and Alec Hollandale are right now the only 2 back-to-back round winners
Okay.
for the whole series. So last season was Alec. He won round 4 and round 5 back-to-back. And now we have Adam LZ with winning round 1 and 3, if you want to consider that back-to-back.
I guess you can't really consider it back-to-back because there was an event in between. But 2 rounds.
Right.
Running 2, and maybe not back-to-back, but 2 rounds.
Oh, yeah, that's true. It goes against my stat. Okay, well then,
Scratch that.
scratch that in any case. 2 weeks from now?
2 weeks from now?
2 weeks
Yeah.
from now?
What are we doing 2 weeks from now? Oh! We
2 weeks
forgot.
from
We
now
forgot
is-
our announcement.
Oh. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
don't worry about it. Just it's in the can. Don't worry about it.
He wants it to actually come to fruition.
Is that what it is? Are you worried if we talk about what's going on that it's not going to happen?
No, not that. It's just there's like one or two amount of details I want to like work out. Just to
Okay,
confirm,
so next, but I mean,
He's making shirts. He's making banners.
but the thing
he's
is like how many weeks do we have before that said thing happens?
how many weeks? No, that happens 2 weeks from now.
I know. That's what I'm saying. We may not go back on again.
We can go live that night, the night before.
No, we had time.
Oh, is it the week before that we go
Oh,
back
no,
on
it's
again?
next weekend, actually. Sorry,
yeah,
guys.
we're good.
Okay.
It's the week. The event's next weekend.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
It's something else.
What?
Let's just
Okay,
wrap it
all
up
right,
before,
okay.
All right, I'll take your word
so
for it.
There's time. There's time.
Okay, all
Any
right.
case, folks, thank you for tuning in, and we hope you appreciate, enjoy the show, and we will be back 2 weeks from now. Take care and good night. Wait.